Good day everyone. Today I'll be giving you a tour of the first generation Isuzu Dmax. I'll give you a full walk around of the exterior, I'll show you around the interior, and I'll also give you a general overview of the vehicle. The first gen Isuzu Dmax was a pickup truck sold between 2002 until 2012. Isuzu trucks tend to have a long shelf life. The previous generation Isuzu LS was in the market between 1988 until 2001. The Dmax is significantly bigger than the model it replaced, the Fuego. The Dmax is about 8.5 inches longer and about 4.3 inches wider than the Isuzu Fuego. It is smaller though than the second generation Navara. The Navara is about 14 inches longer and about 2 inches wider. The Dmax is sold in several territories, but it was never sold in the US. Isuzu abandoned the US consumer market back in 2009 due to lack of sales. In Australia, it is known as the Holden Rodeo. It was also rebranded as the Chevy Colorado in Thailand. An SUV version of the Dmax was also released. In the Philippines, it was called the Altera. In other territories, it was called the Mu7 or the MU7. The Dmax came in several configurations: single cab, double cab, 4x4, 2x4. This particular Dmax is mostly stock with the exception of the front chin and the mesh grille. The Dmax is not as big as some of its competitors, but it gives the illusion of size. The Dmax is a very masculine design language with its bulging fender flares and its high ground clearance. It looks more massive than it actually is. The Dmax is powered by a 3-liter 4-cylinder turbo intercooled engine, which produces 146 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque. It has common rail direct fuel injection. If you're one of those people who prefer gasoline to power their trucks, this vehicle isn't for you, as there are no gasoline engine options for the Dmax. The Dmax has a heavy-duty steel frame chassis. Front suspension is independent. Rear suspension has a solid rear axle supported by leaf springs. The rear cargo bed is quite spacious. Definitely a lot more spacious than the Stratas. The car has a pretty basic interior, mostly made of hard plastics. The car has power windows, power side mirrors, driver side and passenger side airbags. It has a 2-din head unit. Of course, it has air conditioning. This particular car has 124,000 kilometers on the odo. Storage space is adequate. It has space for a water bottle here, and there's storage space underneath the armrest. Storage here. The car has fabric seats, also fabric sidings. This particular car has a 5-speed manual transmission. Rear passenger space is pretty limited on the Dmax. Legroom is particularly poor. As expected of a diesel truck, it has loads of torque at the bottom end, about 266 pound-feet of torque. That's enough torque that you don't really need first gear when driving this truck. And although this is by no means a sports car, it has no problem getting up to highway speed quickly. It feels pretty stable at speeds over 100 kph. There's also surprisingly not a lot of wind noise for a non-aerodynamic pickup truck. Ride quality is expectedly poor, especially if you don't have cargo in the back. This is a pickup truck with a leaf spring rear suspension after all. I think one of the weakest points of the Dmax is its interior. It looks more dated compared to other trucks from the same generation. It's also almost entirely made of hard plastics, and the fabric on the seats makes me feel like I'm sitting in a 90s Civic. This Dmax right here is not the base model, but the interior feels like it. This is a utility vehicle though, not a luxury vehicle, so it's probably forgivable. The first gen Dmax has been out for a while, and so far there have been no major complaints about its reliability, with the exception of the power window mechanisms, which are prone to failing. Isuzu has a pretty good reputation for reliability here in the Philippines, and the Dmax seems to be living up to that reputation. In the used market, the Dmax sells a little bit less than its Japanese competitors, the Navara, the Hilux, and the Strada. The Dmax is a solidly built, handsome vehicle, and at its price point, it's a pretty sensible choice.